Alright, bro, you want to crank this up to 11? Let's dive even deeper into the wild, thrilling universe of James Patterson, the guy who's basically the Steven Spielberg of page-turners. This is gonna be a massive, heart-pounding journey through his life, his books, and the way he's reshaped the literary world, all in a vibrant, storytelling vibe that'll make you feel like you're right there with him, chasing serial killers or scribbling bestsellers. I'm aiming for a beefy 30,000 character epic, packed with every juicy detail you asked for: his childhood, his rise to fame, his iconic series, the highs and lows, quirky facts, what the big shots say about him, and his massive influence on books and pop culture. Buckle up, because this is gonna be one hell of a ride, and by the end, you'll be itching to grab one of his novels and lose yourself in it. Let's do this! James Brendan Patterson came into the world on March 22, 1947, in Newburgh, New York, a sleepy little town in the Hudson Valley where the most exciting thing was probably the annual county fair. Picture a quintessential American family, steeped in Irish-American grit. His dad, Charles, was an insurance broker, always on the hustle to provide for the family, while his mom, Isabel, was a homemaker and schoolteacher who filled their home with love, discipline, and a deep respect for learning. James grew up in a modest house with his three sisters, where money was tight but dreams were big. As a kid, he wasn't out there solving crimes like his future hero Alex Cross. He was more likely curled up with a book, lost in the worlds of Sherlock Holmes, Dickens, or whatever dog-eared paperback he could get his hands on. Books were his portal to adventure, a way to escape the humdrum of small-town life. Little did anyone know, this quiet, bookish kid was planting the seeds for a literary empire. Education was a big deal in the Patterson household. His parents pushed him to aim high, and James delivered. He enrolled at Manhattan College, a Catholic school in the Bronx, where he studied English and graduated summa cum laude, basically flexing his brainpower. He wasn't done yet. He went on to Vanderbilt University in Nashville for a master's degree, diving deep into literature and even flirting with the idea of a PhD. But academia wasn't his vibe. He was restless, hungry for something more dynamic than dusty library stacks. So, in a plot twist nobody saw coming, Patterson traded the ivory tower for the fast-paced world of advertising. He landed a gig at J. Walter Thompson, one of the biggest ad agencies in New York. And man, did he climb that ladder? By his 30s, he was chairman, crafting snappy campaigns that sold everything from burgers to cars. It was here that he honed the skills that would define his writing, grabbing attention, telling a story in a heartbeat, and leaving people wanting more. Advertising wasn't just a job, it was boot camp for the blockbuster novelist he'd become. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Patterson's writing career didn't start with a bang. In 1976, at 29, he published his first novel, The Thomas Berryman Number, a gritty thriller about a hitman caught in a web of conspiracy. It wasn't a chart topper, but it nabbed the Edgar Award for Best First Novel, a prestigious nod from the Mystery Writers of America. That win was like a spark in the dark. It told Patterson he had the chops. Even if the world wasn't quite ready to crown him king, he kept writing, churning out novels like Season of the Machete and The Jericho Commandment. But they didn't set the world on fire. He was still the ad guy by day, scribbling stories by night, waiting for his big break. And then, in 1993, it hit like a lightning bolt. Along Came a Spider. This was the book that changed everything. Along Came a Spider introduced Alex Cross, a black forensic psychologist and Washington, D.C. detective who's as brilliant as he is human. The story follows Cross as he hunts Gary Sinigi, a twisted kidnapper targeting the kids of elite families, including a senator's daughter. It's a roller coaster of suspense, with Cross navigating a maze of clues while grappling with his own life as a widower raising two kids, Damon and Janelle, under the watchful eye of his sassy grandmother, Nana Mama. The book's genius lies in its pacing, short, punchy chapters that end on cliffhangers, making it physically impossible to put down. It rocketed up the New York Times bestseller list, and suddenly, Patterson wasn't just a writer, he was a phenomenon. Hollywood scooped it up, turning it into a 1997 film starring Morgan Freeman as Cross, and the world took notice. This was the moment Patterson became James Patterson, the guy who could make your heart race with a single page. From there, it was like he'd cracked the code to the literary universe. The Alex Cross series became his flagship, with over 30 books, and counting, tracking Cross's battles against some of the most chilling villains in fiction. There's Kyle Craig, a rogue FBI agent with a personal vendetta, the mastermind, a criminal genius who plays cross like a fiddle, and psychos like the wolf, who orchestrates global crime rings. Each book, from Kiss the Girls to Crossdown, is a high-stakes chess match, blending forensic detail with raw emotion. Cross isn't just a detective, he's a father, a son, a jazz-loving romantic who carries the weight of DC's underbelly while trying to keep his family safe. Readers love him because he's not Superman, he's a guy who bleeds, doubts, and fights on anyway. The series has sold millions, with fans hooked on Patterson's knack for making every chapter feel like the clock's ticking. But Patterson wasn't content with one iconic series. In 2001, he launched the Women's Murder Club with First to Die, introducing Lindsay Boxer, a badass San Francisco homicide detective who teams up with her crew, medical examiner Claire Washburn, journalist Cindy Thomas, and prosecutor Jill Bernhard, to solve crimes that'd make your blood run cold. The first book pits them against a serial killer targeting newlyweds, leaving a trail of bodies on their honeymoons. The series, now over 20 books strong, mixes pulse-pounding mysteries with the warmth of female friendship. Whether it's tracking the cult leader in The Ninth Judgment or unraveling the conspiracy in The 23rd Midnight, Lindsay and her squad bring grit and heart to every case. Then there's Michael Bennett, the Irish-American NYPD detective from Step on a Crack, 2007. Bennett's a single dad raising 10 adopted kids while taking down terrorists, drug lords, and psychos like the teacher in Michael Bennett. His stories balance blockbuster action with family chaos. Imagine chasing a cartel boss while trying to get to your kid's soccer game. Patterson's got other hits too, like the Maximum Ride series, about winged teens on the run, and standalone thrillers like The President is Missing, co-written with Bill freaking Clinton. Let's talk numbers, because Patterson's stats are bananas. He's written over 200 books, selling more than 400 million copies worldwide. That's enough to fill a small country's libraries. He holds the Guinness World Record for the most #1 New York Times bestsellers, 67 and counting. His secret? A writing style that's like a shot of espresso, short chapters, sometimes just 2 pages, relentless pacing, and twists that hit like a sucker punch. He's also a collaboration machine, working with co-authors like Maxine Petro, David Ellis, and even Dolly Parton. They wrote Run, Rose, Run together. Patterson sketches detailed outlines, thinks 60-page blueprints, then hands them to his co-authors to flesh out, letting him crank out books faster than Usain Bolt running the 100-meter. Critics might call it an assembly line, but fans call it a buffet of awesome. He's not here to write flowery prose, he's here to keep you up till 3 a.m. Life wasn't always a victory lap, though. Early on, Patterson struggled to break through. His first few books barely made a ripple. He's faced personal losses too, like the death of his parents, which hit him hard. His wife, Susan, has been his anchor through it all, but the pressure of being a literary titan hasn't been easy. Critics have thrown shade, with some, like The New Yorker, sniffing that his books are commercial rather than literary. Patterson's response? He shrugs it off. I'm not writing War and Peace. I'm writing stories people can't stop reading. And he's not wrong, his books are designed to grab you and not let go. He's also had to navigate the changing publishing world. From the rise of ebooks, he was the first author to sell 1 million, to the decline of brick-and-mortar bookstores, which he's fought to save with his philanthropy. The highs, though? They're Mount Everest level. Patterson's been name-dropped by presidents, worked with icons like Clinton and Parton, and racked up awards like the Edgar, the BCA Mystery Guild Award, and the National Book Foundation's Literarian Award for his literacy work. He's poured millions into libraries, indie bookstores, and scholarships, making sure kids grow up with books. His Jimmy Patterson imprint publishes stories for young readers, and he's dead set on making reading cool in a TikTok world. One of his proudest moments was watching his son, Jack, become a bookworm, a personal win for a guy who lives for stories. He's also a family man, living in Palm Beach, Florida, with Susan and Jack, where he golfs, writes, and probably dreams up new ways to terrify us. Now, let's get to the juicy stuff, the fun facts that make Patterson a legend. Did you know he writes 7 days a week, often jotting ideas on napkins or at 2 a.m.? His office is like a war room, with storyboards and outlines pinned everywhere. He's a pop culture junkie, weaving references to jazz, movies, and even Star Wars into his books. His collaboration with Dolly Parton came from a random lunch where they hit it off, and boom, a bestseller was born. He's got a knack for spotting talent, mentoring co-authors who've gone on to write their own hits. And get this, he's a golf fanatic, reportedly sneaking in rounds between writing sessions. His sales are so massive that Forbes pegs his net worth at around $800 million. That's not just success, that's a literary dynasty. What do the big names say? Stephen King, the horror maestro, once called Patterson a good storyteller but added, he's a terrible writer, which is peak King shade. Meanwhile, Bill Clinton gushed that working with Patterson was like learning from a master. Oprah's a fan, hyping the Alex Cross series on her book club. Critics are split. The New York Times praises his propulsive plots, while The Guardian grumbles about his formulaic approach. But readers don't give a damn, they've made him one of the richest authors alive. His books have been translated into dozens of languages, with fans from Tokyo to Timbuktu. Patterson's impact on pop culture is undeniable. The Alex Cross films put him on the big screen, and the Women's Murder Club inspired a TV series. His books have influenced everything from video games to true crime podcasts. He's redefined the thriller genre, proving you don't need long-winded descriptions to tell a killer story. His diverse characters, a black detective like Cross, a female-led squad like the Murder Club, broke barriers in a genre that was often a boys' club. And his literacy advocacy? It's a game-changer, funding over 3,000 teacher scholarships and donating millions to keep bookstores alive. He's not just writing books, he's fighting for the future of reading. So, why should you care? Because James Patterson is the guy who makes reading feel like a blockbuster movie. His stories, whether it's Cross outsmarting a psycho, Lindsay Boxer cracking a case with her girls, or Michael Bennett saving New York while parenting 10 kids, are pure adrenaline. He's not chasing Pulitzer Prizes, he's chasing your pulse. Pick up Along Came a Spider, First to Die, or Step on a Crack, and you'll see why millions can't get enough. His books aren't just read, they're lived. So, bro, which Patterson adventure are you jumping into first? Let me know, and let's geek out over it.